So till now, we have seen many aspects of response of single degree of freedom system to external excitations. And now we are venturing into multi-degree of freedom system. So let us recall the definition of multi-degree of freedom system. So if you remember single degree of freedom system, we had one mass, one stiffness element, and one damping element. But here in multi-degree of freedom systems, as you can see here, you have two masses, so more than one mass. This particularly, the diagram that I have shown is particularly a 2 degree of freedom system. Uh, so it is one of the type of multi-degree of freedom system. You have two masses, so masses are lumped at two locations. Then the stiffness is provided by the columns of ground story and columns of first story. So therefore stiffness also is distributed at two distinct locations, and damping we will talk about it little later. But therefore we have now two masses and two stiffness elements. Also, if you remember in single degree of freedom system, we were monitoring displacement of a single mass because there was only one mass there. But as there are two masses here, we will be monitoring the displacement of two masses. For example, at any given instant of time, let us say t equal to t star, mass m1 would have assumed some position and mass m2 would be at some other position. So we are going to monitor x directional deformation of mass m1 as well as mass m2. So let me define the coordinate system. This is positive x, this is positive y. Coming out of the plane of board towards you is z. Malayaj, can you unmute yourself? Malayaj? No, I could not hear you. So let me ask Atharva. Atharva, are you there? Give me a second. Atharva, can you speak? No, I'm not able to hear you. Are you able to hear me? You can type your response in chat box. Today I am taking the lecture from college, so I am not very sure if I am audible. Okay, so Atharva says yes. So Atharva, you can respond to my questions in chat box if you are not able to speak. I can't hear you, so you can respond in chat box. So are you with me till this point? Please respond, then I will go ahead. Okay. So M1 and M2, these are the two masses, and they are going to have at given instant of time U1 of t, which is displacement in x direction of mass M1 at time t. U2 of t is displacement of mass 2 in x direction at time t. Now, let us take this snapshot of this system at some time t. So let us say we are taking a snapshot of system at time t. Time t may be anything. It can be 1 second, 2 second, 10 second after the observation begins. So at that time, I'm assuming certain things here. I'm assuming that u1 of t and u2 of t are both on the right hand side of mean position. So this is the mean position. So both the masses, they are being displaced towards right. This is my assumption. If after the analysis I get negative sign for u1 or negative sign for u2, that means originally assumed sense is incorrect. So u1 of t and u2 of t, I have assumed it towards right of the mean position at time t. And I have made second assumption that u2 of t is greater than u1 of t. It is not necessary. I am just making an assumption. The sign will automatically take care of itself. When we write down the equations, you will understand that. Just like when you calculated reactions of the beams, you started with some sense of the reactions. And then if the reaction turns out to be negative, that means originally assumed sense of reaction is incorrect. ऐसे करते थे ना आप लोग? Atharva, are you with me? Please type your response. Yes. So in the same fashion, I have made certain assumptions. I am assuming that u1 of t and u2 of t at time t both are towards right of mean position, and u2 of t is greater than u1 of t. If at the end I am going to recover a negative sign for u1, u2 or difference of u2 minus u1, then I will understand the originally assumed sense is incorrect. That's all right. So without loss of generality, I can assume this. Now, In this displaced position, I am drawing the deformed shape of columns because columns are the elements that provide stiffness. Give me a second. Now, so this is the displaced shape of columns that I have shown. Let us look at this system. Dekho, most of the mass of the building is concentrated at floor level. You may argue out that the walls also carry significant mass, but you will understand we do not consider wall as a structural element. The entire load of the wall is finally transferred to the beam that is at floor level. So therefore, our argument is most of the mass of the building is concentrated only at floor levels. So therefore, I have shown mass elements only at floor levels M1, M2. Let us say height of both the floors is same and I'm going to call this height as H. Then the lateral stiffness is entirely derived from the columns. None of the other elements do participate in providing lateral stiffness. If you have to pull this mass M2 or you have to pull this mass M1 in X direction, the entire resistance is on account of columns or is on account of flexural rigidity of the columns. Are you with me, Atharva? You can type your response. Have you understood the statement that I made? Okay. So stiffness elements are columns. Mass elements, they are lumped at floor level. Columns do carry mass, but if you can look around where you are sitting, the mass of column is going to be very negligible in comparison with the mass of the slab itself and load of furniture and load of people on the slab. Therefore, we can safely say that the columns are relatively massless in comparison with the mass of walls and floors. So mass of walls is transferred to beam, so it is lumped at floor level. Mass of slab is transferred, is already acting at floor level. So therefore, mass M1, M2, these are the mass elements. Give me a second. So M1 and M2 are mass elements and EI is the flexural rigidity of column. Flexural rigidity of column contributes to the stiffness element. Now at given instant of time t, I have drawn the deformed shape of this structure with certain assumptions which I stated. And now we are going to draw the free body diagram of each of the slabs. So slab with mass M1 and slab with mass M2. We are going to draw free body diagram. This exercise we have already done in the last class just before the midterm examination, but there was an error in direction of one of the force. So I am starting from scratch. So now let me show the free body diagram of mass M1. So what is free body diagram? Free the body from all external agencies and show what the external agencies were doing. इसको बोला जाता है free body diagram. So when I am drawing a free body diagram of slab, I am going to free it from all external agencies. So what are the external agencies? The very first external agency is Earth. So free the slab from Earth and show what the Earth must have been doing. So if I free the slab from Earth, I must show the gravitational pull offered by Earth on this mass. So I must show m1 times g. But as we are going to write down equation of motion in x direction and this force gravitational pull being in y direction, we are not going to show it in this free body diagram. Of course, we know it exists, but we are not going to show because it is irrelevant as far as the equation of motion in x direction is concerned. So therefore, this is not shown. This is the slab. Free the body from all external agencies. What is the next external thing to the slab? Next external thing to the slab is column. So free the body from columns. So free the mass M1 from column and show what the columns must have been doing on this mass M1 of the slab. So कितने column है? If you look at the first slab M1, it is connected to 4 columns. Two columns of ground story and 2 columns of top story. Of course, in this view, you can see only 2 columns, but you have to understand that behind this, there is another pair of columns. So in all, on ground floor, there are 4 columns which are in contact with floor slab of mass M1, and From the first floor level, it is in contact with 4 columns, 2 seen here and 2 are behind. I hope you are able to understand and imagine the structure. Atharva, are you with me? Please type your response in chat box. किसी को doubt है तो पूछो. I am waiting for the response. Once you give the green signal, then I will go ahead. Okay. Now, so on this mass M1, I have freed it from all external agencies, earth, as well as all the columns. I must show what the columns of ground floor are doing on this slab. So columns of ground floor are connected to soffit of first floor slab. So यहाँ पे connection है. So let us try to draw the free body diagram of that ground floor column itself. So column का free body diagram कैसे होगा? Let us say this the top end of the column is displaced by amount delta. दिख रहा है ना सबको? So it is displaced by amount delta towards right. So to displace it towards right, you need to provide, or the slab needs to apply a force towards right on the column. So force towards right on the column is applied here. As a consequence, at the ground level, you are going to have reaction towards left. So this is a pair of equal and opposite forces, parallel forces. Their lines of actions are parallel and they are separated by distance h, because h is the height of the column. So therefore they are going to produce a couple. So couple moment कैसे produce करेंगे ये दो forces? They are going to produce a clockwise couple moment. So reactionary moments must be anti-clockwise in nature. So ये anti-clockwise moments मैंने यहाँ पे दिखाए हैं. And you know from structural analysis 1 that if this is delta, these moments are 6 ci delta upon h square, where h is the height of column or length of the member. So 6 ci delta upon h square is this moment. Don't write anything. Just have a look at it. I am going to share the box. And 6 ci delta upon h square is also a moment here. So what is the total net sum of these moments? It is 6 ci delta upon h square here plus 6 ci delta upon h square here. Both are anti-clockwise. They are going to get added up and it is going to be 12 ei delta upon h square. I have already told you how to estimate the magnitude of this reactionary force. For that, I need to sum up these moments. So it is 12 ei delta upon h square and I need to divide it once more by h. So therefore, these two moments are 12 ei delta upon h cube. So therefore ये reaction कितना रहने वाला है? 12 ei delta upon h cube. This reaction is also going to be equal to 12 ei delta upon h. Now what is this force here? It is the force applied by mass m1 on top of the column. But when I am drawing the free body diagram of slab, I am interested exactly in the opposite. The force applied by column top on the mass m1. I am interested in that. So therefore, by Newton's third law, action and reaction are equal and opposite. So therefore, action taken by top of the column on soffit of first floor slab is going to be in the reverse direction. So as it is towards right, this is going to be towards left. And what is the magnitude? It is supposed to be 12 ei delta upon h cube, but you will understand that there are 4 columns. So therefore, total reaction is going to be 12 into 4, that is 48 ei. Delta is u1 here. Delta is u1 here, because what is delta? Delta is the relative difference between the ground end of the column and soffit of first floor. So therefore that delta is u1 here. You will understand it is shown in this diagram. It is u1. Okay, so it is 48 ei u1 upon h cube. So have you understood the thinking process in developing the sense and magnitude of this force exerted by column tops on soffit of first floor slab? Please type your response in chat box. Have you understood till this point? Shreyas says yes. What about others? Akshata, Atharva, Vivek, Satyam, Amrut, Suyash. Please type your response. Okay, great. So now we have shown action taken by for ground story columns on soffit of first slab. Now we have to show action taken by first story columns on top of M1, on top of this slab. So वो कैसे दिखाएंगे? So for that I am going to first draw the free body diagram of first story column. वो कैसे दिखेगा? The deformed shape is in this fashion. Are you with me? Are you able to imagine this deformed shape? Please type your response. Atharva says yes. Okay. So now, as I assume that u2 is greater than u1, so therefore relatively with reference to this point is going to be towards right. Mind you, this point has already moved by amount u1. So this point has already moved by amount u1, and this point has moved by amount u2 at a given instant of time. So what is delta? Delta is u2 minus u1. So I will write that here. Delta is equal to u2 minus u1. So u2 minus u1 is the relative displacement of top end of this column with reference to bottom end. And you will understand that the forces or stresses are induced in the column only owing to the relative displacement, not owing to the absolute displacement. For example, this is a column. If the bottom end travels by amount delta and top end also travels by amount delta, the column is going to shift as it is towards right. It is not going to induce any stresses or strains in the column. As a car moves from one place to another, no stresses are induced in the body of the car. So you will understand that that is because it is subjected to rigid body motion. However, if the top end moves by amount delta plus small delta, so it has moved by amount delta plus small delta, and bottom end has moved only by amount delta, then the relative displacement is going to induce stresses and strains in the column. Are you with me till this point? Please type your response. Okay. So let us go ahead. Now let us look at, as I have assumed u2 is greater than u1. So mind you, I have not taken any breach to generality, because if u2 is not greater than u1, you will get delta as negative. That's all right. So the sign will be automatically taken care of. Right now I am assuming u2 is greater than u1 for our understanding to write down the senses. So with u2 being greater than u1, delta is positive, and to have this displacement u2 at top, I will have to apply force towards right. And how much is that force? You all know that force is 12 EI delta upon h cube. Only the variation here is delta is equal to u2 minus u1. So you need to apply force towards right of amount 12 EI delta upon h cube. Consequence, at the first story level, this is, mind you, this is second story level. This is first story level. So at first story level, you are going to have force generated towards left. So you have two equal and opposite forces which have their lines of action parallel, and they are separated by perpendicular distance between their lines of actions as h. They are going to cause a clockwise couple. Consequence, anti-clockwise couple must get generated at these two locations, and magnitude of that couple is 6 EI delta upon h square, where delta is u2 minus u1. So therefore, for such columns, so what is the magnitude of this force? 12 EI delta upon h cube. For such columns, it is going to be 48 EI delta को replace किया u2 minus u1 से. Pardon me for bad handwriting. 1 minute. So 48 EI into bracket delta, that is u2 minus u1 upon h cube. Now mind you, this force is the action taken by the floor slab, first floor slab on the column. If the action taken is towards left, then action taken by column on the floor slab must be towards right. Action and reaction are equal and opposite, Newton's third law. So therefore, we are going to have this force as 48 EI u2 minus u1 upon h cube towards right. Is everybody on the same page? Have you understood this sense and magnitude? Please type your response. I'm waiting for your response. Atharva says yes. What about Shreyas? Saksham? राजर्षि यहाँ पे नहीं है ना? राजर्षि, roll number 28, division C. Is he absent? Okay. Okay. So this is the free body diagram of first story slab. Now, is this free body diagram complete, or is there something missing? Chalo, batao. You can also participate. Is it complete, or is there something missing? In free body diagram, what do we do? Free the body from all external agencies and show what the external agencies must have been doing. Apart from that, we also show the accelerations. Do you agree with me? Because accelerations lead to pseudo force or inertial force. You know that. So therefore, we must show the acceleration as well. So I'm going to show the acceleration of this slab. And what is the acceleration? If u1 of t is the displacement as a function of time, u1 double dot of t is going to be the acceleration. And I'm going to assume that it is also towards right. If it is not so, it will turn out of the analysis. Negative sign for u1 double dot indicates that originally assumed sense of acceleration is incorrect. So I will assume that it is towards right, and I'm going to show it as u1 double dot of t. Dot notation stands for derivative with reference to time. Mind you, it is not u1 double dot into t. T is written in the bracket, t is the argument. u1 double dot is function of time. So this is shown. Now what can we do with this free body diagram? With this free body diagram, we can apply Newton's second law. Do you agree with me? Newton's second law to FBD of first floor FBD of first floor slab. That is FBD of mass m1. I am going to apply Newton's second law. So what does Newton's second law state? Algebraic sum of all the forces acting in a particular direction must be equal to rate of change of momentum in that direction. But rate of change of momentum becomes mass into acceleration in that direction if mass is going to remain constant over the observation period. And here the mass of slab is not going to vary. Therefore, we can take mass outside the derivative sign and we can simply write summation of all the forces acting on mass m1 in x direction must be equal to m1 multiplied by acceleration of m1 in x direction. Do you agree with me? So all those who are attending lecture online, please type your response if you agree with this. Without your response, I will not move ahead. Okay. So Atharva says yes. What about others? Okay. Okay. So let us write down summation of all the forces acting on a slab. So what is the summation? 48 EI U1 upon H cube. 48 EI u1. Mind you, u1 is a function of time, so ideally I should be writing u1 of t, but that will make the equation look clumsy. Therefore मैं वैसे नहीं करने वाला हूँ. You have to understand u1 is going to be function of time. So 48 ei u1 upon h cube. Mind you, this force is towards left, and we have assumed x towards right as positive. X towards right as positive. So therefore I must substitute this as minus. So minus 48 ei u1 upon h cube. Then you have this force which is towards right. So I'm going to take it as positive. So plus 48 ei into bracket u2 minus u1 upon h cube. See, there is scope to make this problem more general. I could have said each of this column has different value of EI. Each of this column, or at least the column of ground story and first story have different heights. So I could have taken it as H1 and H2. All that complexities can be brought in. But right now, let us leave with this. So therefore, 40 minus 48 EI U1 upon H cube plus 48 EI U2 minus U1 upon H cube. This is algebraic sum of all the forces acting on this mass m1. This must be equal to what? This must be equal to mass, that is m1. And what is acceleration of this slab? Acceleration of m1 in x direction. So at the time instant at which we are writing down this equation, it is u1 double dot of t. And I'm not going to write down u1 double dot of t because it will make the equation look clumsy. But you have to understand u1 and u1 double dot of t are and u1 double dot are functions of time. They are functions, they evolve with time. So this equation must hold good at all instants of time. It is not written at a particular instant of time. This equation must hold good at all instants of time. Now, can we further simplify this equation? Yes, very well. We are going to collect all the terms in U1 together, all the terms in U2 together, and all the terms in U1 double dot together. So ये सारे terms एक साथ इकट्ठा करते हैं. Do you see any term in U1 dot or U2 dot here? Type your response in chat box. क्या इस equation में U1 dot और U2 dot की term है या नहीं है? और नहीं है तो क्यों नहीं है? Can you respond in chat box? सक्षम, प्रथम, Shreyas, please respond in chat box. Is there a term involving U1 dot or U2 dot here? And if it is not there, what can be the reason? Yes, sir. So Saksham says it is there. Saksham, where is the term involving U1 dot? Show me in this equation. You can unmute and tell me. Initial displacement is zero, so velocity is zero. No. Even if initial displacement is zero, if the displacement varies at later instant of time, obviously there is going to be velocity. Right now you are sitting, but you start running now. You started from the displacement zero, but when you start running, you will gain some velocity. So this is not the answer. U1 dot and U2 dot terms are not there because we have not modeled damping. हमने कहीं damping model किया है क्या? Damping is energy dissipation, and you know that in viscous damping, we always correlate damping force with velocity. So therefore, as damping force is not there, you will see that U1 dot or U2 dot terms are not there. So minus 4, let us now collect terms in U1 double dot, U1 and U2. So कैसे collect करने वाले हैं? So let me collect the terms. So I am going to write down M1 U1 double dot. Then this term goes on the other side and it becomes plus 48 EI U1 upon H1 cube. Similarly, if you look at this term, you have 48 EI U1 upon H1 cube. That sign is also negative. So on the other side, it goes and becomes positive. So therefore, we are going to have plus 2 times 48 EI U1 upon H cube. ये term रहने वाला है. And now what is the term in U2? Sign of term in U2 is positive here. It goes on the other side and becomes negative. So it is going to be minus 48 EI, 48 EI, 48 EI U2 upon HQ. Yes. So this must be equal to 0. This is the first equation that we have in our hand. Now what are we going to do? We are going to repeat the same process for slab with mass M2. So now I am going to draw free body diagram, FBD, of slab with mass M2. What is free body diagram? Once again, free the body from all external agencies and show what the external agencies were doing. That is called as free body diagram. So free the body from all external agencies. If I free this slab from Earth, Earth is first external body. I have to show what Earth must have been doing. So Earth must have been pulling it by amount M2 times G. But M2 times G being in vertical direction, we are not interested in that. So we will not show that in this free body diagram. However, we understand that it needs to be shown. So this is the slab with mass M2. And on this, I need to show M2 times G, which is the action taken by Earth on the slab. But as I am going to write down the equation in X direction, it is irrelevant. So I am not going to look at it. So now I must show action taken by these columns on the soffit of this slab. So वो कैसे लेने वाला है? So you are going to again look at this diagram. So if you look at this diagram, that is 12 EI delta upon H cube, where delta is equal to U2 minus U1. So this is 12 EI delta upon H cube, where delta is equal to U2 minus U1. So there are 4 columns here. So 4 columns are going to contribute to 48 EI delta upon H cube, where delta is equal to U2 minus U1. So therefore, this force is going to be 48 EI U2 minus U1 upon H cube. And as you can see, this is the force exerted by the second story slab on the column top. Column top must be exerting equal and opposite force on the slab. So therefore, if it is towards right, I must show the force exerted by the column on the second story slab of mass M2 towards left. So let me show that. So it is going to be subjected to the force towards left. And how much is the force? It is going to be 48 EI by H cube into U2 minus U1. Do you agree with me? Others, please type your response in chat box. I am waiting for the response. Do you agree with me? Yes. So I hope everyone has understood the magnitude of force and they have understood the sense of the force. Now, let us say that this slab also exhibit. I am not audible. Okay. Is this the problem faced only by Atharva, or is this the problem faced by everyone? Please type your response in chat box. Am I audible? Okay. So Atharva, please check net connection at your end. You may leave the meeting and rejoin. If the problem persists, let me know. Now, this mass M2 also has acceleration. And mind you now that acceleration need not be shown relative acceleration, because when we write down Newton's second law, we are writing it down for mass M2 and we have to show the absolute acceleration of mass M2. And what is the absolute acceleration of mass M2? I assume that the mass is accelerating towards right, and therefore it is going to be U2 double dot of T. T is the argument. It is not multiplication by T. U2 double dot is a function of time. So I write it as U2 double dot of T. So this is the free body diagram of mass M2 with all the forces and accelerations acting on it. Now, let us apply Newton's second law. So application of Newton's second law. Leads to. चलो अब मैं नहीं बताऊंगा, आप बताओ, what should I write? Maybe Akshata, you can type in chat box. How should I write this Newton's second law? What should be left hand side? Akshata, are you there? No response in chat box, no response on microphone. I will assume that you are absent. And I will put you on waiting list. Akshata, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So what should be written on left hand side? Bolo. Akshata, you have muted yourself. You need to unmute and answer. If you are not able to apply Newton's second law, you can say so. There is a freedom to make errors. There is freedom to acknowledge that you are not aware of the Newton's second law, but you cannot keep mum. Then I am moving you to lobby. Okay. So let us apply Newton's second law. Newton's second law will be applied as summation of all the forces acting on a body in x direction is equal to mass, that is m2. So algebraic sum of all the forces acting on a body with mass m2 in x direction is equal to mass m2 multiplied by acceleration in x direction. Kiska acceleration? Again, the body which has mass m2. So let me write down that. So what are the forces that are acting on this body? It is only 48 EI by x cube u2 minus u1, as it is acting towards left, contrary to positive direction of x. Therefore, we write it as minus. So minus 48 EI upon h cube u2 minus u1 u2 minus u1. This must be equal to m2 into acceleration of slab in x direction. So what is the acceleration? U2 double dot of t. So I'm going to write it as U2 double dot of t. And mind you, I'm not going to write down t here, but you have to understand U2, U1 and U2 double dot. All are functions of time. They evolve with time. Now let us rearrange this term. So I'm going to take this term on the other side. So that gives positive sign to U2, and this negative and this negative becomes positive. So u1 is positive here. That term becomes negative when it ventures into the other side. So what is the equation that we have? M2 into u2 double dot. Okay. Then plus 48 EI by h cube. सही है? Into u2 minus 48 EI upon h cube into u1. This has to be equal to 0. This is the second equation. So now let me bring both these equations together, equation number 1 and equation number 2. So let us look at these equations at one place.
But I guess the sign is wrong.
Which sign is wrong?
The plus and minus should be minus u2 and plus u1.
No, no, no. Here minus u2 is there. It goes ventures on the other side and becomes positive. This minus 48 EI upon h cube into minus u1 becomes positive here. But when it goes on the other side, it becomes negative.
Yes, sir. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So let us write down these two equations here. And now, can I represent these equations in matrix form easily? Give me a second. So can I write down these equations in matrix form? Chalo. Some matrix multiplied by u1 double dot and u2 double dot. What are the unknowns in our hand, or what are the unknowns that we are looking for? The unknowns are u1, u2. Once we get u1, u2, u1 double dot and u2 double dot are also known. But therefore, the set of unknown involves independent unknowns u1 and u2 and dependent unknowns u1 double dot and u2 double dot. So I have written this as u1 double dot and u2 double dot. This is a column vector of size 2 cross 1, 2 rows and 1 column. Then if the multiplication is to be made possible, this has to be of the size 2 cross 2. And then see m1 0. Just look at the way I am writing it. Then we will expand each term in this and you will get convinced that what I have written is correct. This is the first term. Let me write down the second term. In second term, the unknowns will be u1 and u2. This is again matrix having 4 terms. So if you look at the first equation, what is the coefficient of u1? It is 2 into 48. So 96 EI u1 upon h cube. So that's what I'm going to write down. 96 EI u1 is already sitting here, so that I won't write, divided by h cube. Then what is the term involving u2 here? Minus 48 ei upon h cube, minus 48 ei upon h cube. Then look at the second equation. What is the coefficient of u1? That needs to be written here. So what is the coefficient of u1? Minus 48 ei upon h cube. Do you agree with me? Upon h cube. Then what is the coefficient here? 48 ei upon h cube. And this has to be equal to 0, 0, because right hand side is 0, 0. So this is the matrix representation of equation number 1 and 2. So let us expand first row. So m1 u1 double dot plus 0 into u2 double dot. So first term m1 u1 double dot plus 96 ei upon h cube into u1 minus 48 ei upon h cube into u2. These are the two terms. This is equal to 0. Are you with me? Let us expand the second row of this matrix. 0 into u1 double dot plus m2 into u2 double dot. So first term is recovered. Second term minus 48 ei upon h cube into u1. This term is recovered. Then 48 ei upon h cube into u2. I hope all of you know how to multiply matrices. Is equal to 0. So second equation is recovered. So in a concise form, I can write these two equations in this form. Mind you, these are two second order first degree homogeneous linear differential equations, ordinary differential equations. But the only problem in solution of these equations, unlike the equation that we were solving in single degree of freedom system, is isme these equations are coupled. What do I mean by equations are coupled? So if you look at the first equation, you have terms involving u1 and you have terms involving u2. That's the problem. अगर इस इक्वेशन में टर्म इन्वॉल्विंग u2 नहीं रहता तो इट वुड हैव बीन द इक्वेशन लाइक mx डबल डॉट mu डबल डॉट plus ku equal to 0, and then we have already solved that equation. But these are coupled equations. Coupled equations means the first equation involves terms in u1 and u2. Second equation also involves terms in u1 and u2. And because of this coupling, because both the equations involve terms in u1 and u2, it is very difficult to solve these equations. Mind you, unlike other mathematical equations, here u1 and u2 are not single values. u1 and u2 are functions that evolve in time. So due to this coupling, it is very difficult to solve this equation in the present form. That is the added complexity in solving or analyzing the multi-degree of freedom system. Now, before we go ahead with the solution of this, let me represent this in a standard form. So this matrix here, this matrix, we are going to call it as mass matrix, and we denote it by M written in square bracket. So this is the what is the size of this matrix? Size of this matrix is degrees of freedom into degrees of freedom. So for example, here, how many degrees of freedom are there? u1 and u2, 2 degree of freedom system. So therefore size of this matrix is going to be 2 cross 2. If it is a 3-story building, you are going to have 3 degrees of freedom. In that case, the size of this matrix will be 3 cross 3. So even though the size of matrix here, mass matrix here, is seen as 2 cross 2, we will understand it as size of this matrix will be degree of freedom times degree of freedom. Is everyone with me? Please type your response in chat box. I am waiting for the response. This is extremely crucial point. Atharva says yes. Shreyas says yes. Okay. I receive responses from some typical names. Others, please get yourself in group. You have to participate. Okay. Now, what is the size of second this u1 double dot and u2 double dot? So how many degrees of freedom are there? There are 2 degrees of freedom. So the size of this matrix is going to be 2 cross 1. So it is degree of freedom cross 1. This is the generalized way in which we write down the size of the matrix. And now what is the size? What is this? Let me write down what do we call this matrix as. So this matrix is called as matrix of acceleration. So I'm going to call this as U double dot matrix. So just like in single degree of freedom system, we had a first term mu double dot. Here we have matrices. M is a matrix here and U also is a matrix here. Whenever we have column matrix, we denote it by curly brackets. Whenever we have rectangular matrix or square matrix, we denote it by square brackets. Are you with me? So therefore mu double dot, mind you, unlike single degree of freedom system, these two are matrices here. Mu double dot plus what should I call this matrix now? Tell me. What is the term in single degree of freedom system? Ku, mu double dot plus Ku. So definitely this is nothing but the stiffness matrix of the structure. So here we derive the stiffness matrix based on equation of motion, but you could as well derive it based on stiffness matrix method, based on slope deflection method, based on any other method that you know. You can derive the stiffness matrix for the structure and you can simply incorporate that here. So this is stiffness matrix, and what is this matrix? This is the matrix of displacements. So I'm going to call it as U. So mu double dot plus Ku has to be equal to. Now what does this matrix of 0 0 stand for? So if you look at degree of freedom U1, what is U1? What kind of degree of freedom it is? Is it a translation or is it a rotation? Translation. So what causes translation? Force or a moment? Force causes translation. So therefore, I am going to look for force in the direction of U1 in the original structure. If there is no force applied here, that term is going to be 0 here. Are you with me? Now, U2, what kind of deformation U2 is? What kind of degree of freedom U2 is? Is it a translation or is it a rotation? Translation. What causes translation? Cause or effect pair पक्का होना चाहिए दिमाग में. Force causes translation, contraction or elongation, and moment causes rotation, twist. All those are synonyms for rotations within the plane, out of plane, whatever it is. But rotation is a consequence of moment and translation is a consequence of force. Cause and effect pair must be fixed in your mind. So U2 is translation. So you should look for force in the direction of U2. So U2 ke direction mein, is there any force acting here in the original structure? No. So therefore that term is 0. So what can you call this matrix as? This matrix is a matrix of external forces of the nature of degrees of freedom, not necessarily forces. It is the matrix of external actions. If degree of freedom is rotation, this matrix will involve terms in moments. Are you with me? So in original structure, you have to look at what is the corresponding action to each and every degree of freedom, and that you have to enlist in this matrix. So this is FP. So in single degree of freedom system, if you remember, we used to write mu double dot plus plus Ku is equal to F. That F was force acting in the direction of degree of freedom. There it was only 1 degree of freedom, so it was only one element. But here it is 2 degree of freedom system or multi degree of freedom system. So what is the size of this matrix? Degree of freedom cross 1. What is the size of K matrix? Degree of freedom cross degree of freedom. So यहाँ पे 2 cross 2. What is the size of U matrix? Degree of freedom cross 1. Do you agree with me? So this is the equation. What is the size of M matrix? Degree of freedom cross degree of freedom. What is the size of acceleration matrix? It is degree of freedom cross 1. So mu double dot plus Ku equal to F. A similar looking expression to single degree of freedom system, but only with one challenge. And what is the challenge in this? M, K and F are matrices. Moreover, these equations are coupled. These are not uncoupled equations. So we cannot solve it just like we solved for single degree of freedom system. See, if you try to solve first equation, it involves U1 double dot of T, U1 of T and U2 of T. How the hell are you going to solve for it? U1 and U2 are coupled here. अगर U2 नहीं रहता इसमें तो सॉल्व करना इजी था, बट एज U2 is there, This makes our life difficult. So are you with me till this point? Please type your response in chat box. I am waiting. Okay. Okay. So chalo. So now what should be our focus to solve for this? So अब जरा देखो, in the given coordinate system, these equations are coupled. If I want to decouple these equations, what should be the characteristic of this K matrix? By the way, before we go ahead, just have a look at K matrix. Its diagonal terms are positive. So we know that K matrix is always has positive terms along the diagonals. It is the characteristic of K matrix. So that has been satisfied. Then off diagonal terms can be negative. K matrix के off diagonal terms negative रह सकते हैं. So therefore that's fine. And K matrix has to be symmetric. Any K matrix that you must have derived in your structural analysis, stiffness matrix method हो या फिर slope deflection method हो, आपने जो भी K matrix या फिर flexibility matrices derive किए होंगे, उनका एक inherent characteristic रहता है. K matrix has to be symmetric. And why is it so? It is because of Maxwell's reciprocal theorem. Have you heard of Maxwell's reciprocal theorem? If not, you need to read. So in structural analysis, we have learned Maxwell's reciprocal theorem that guarantees that this K matrix has to be symmetric. And have we got the K matrix symmetric? Yes. Off diagonal elements have symmetry. Diagonal elements anyway are positive. They don't hamper symmetry. So therefore, this element being equal to this element, K matrix is symmetric. Positive elements along the diagonal, its determinant is always positive. So therefore, it satisfies all the conditions required for it to qualify as K matrix, and we are on the right track. This is a check. Now, if I were to solve these two equations, it would be very easy if I somehow decouple these equations. So what do I mean by decoupling? If somehow this matrix becomes diagonal, जरा देखो K matrix अगर diagonal बन जाता है, by some trick, by some magic, if the K matrix becomes diagonal, so you have K1 here and K2 here, and you have 0 here and 0 here. Are you with me? And then you are going to have, let us say, U1 and U2 here. तो ये चेंज सिर्फ अगर मैंने किया तो कैसे होने वाला है देखो, M1 U1 double dot plus 0 into U2 double dot gone. So M1 U1 double dot plus K1 U1 plus 0 U2, U2 gone. So K1 times U1 is equal to 0. So then the equations become decoupled. Are you with me? So others who are attending the class online, please respond. Have you understood what I'm trying to say? If by some means I make this K diagonal, the equations are going to get decoupled. I'm sorry. Please type your response in chat box. Yes. So the entire focus of analyzing MDOF system is now on making this stiffness matrix a diagonal matrix. Diagonal matrix मतलब क्या? इसके terms diagonal के terms non-zero रहने वाले हैं, but off diagonal terms becomes zero. The moment I do that, it is as if I am solving two single degree of freedom systems separately. And single degree of freedom system के लिए may it be free vibration, may it be forced vibration, may it be damped vibration, may it be undamped vibration. I have the solution for all scenarios. So if I can solve for one single degree of freedom system, I can ask that dumb computer by a program to solve it for thousands such single degree of freedom systems. Are you able to understand what I'm trying to do? जहां पे ह्यूमन इंटेलिजेंस लगता है वो ये चीज है. इसके बाद दैट डम कंप्यूटर वाया प्रोग्राम कैन हैंडल दिस. एक ही चीज 1000 टाइम्स करनी है, आस्क इट टू डू, व्हाई आर यू डूइंग इट? समझ में आ रहा है? So therefore our entire focus is on converting this multi degree of freedom system into an single degree of freedom systems by decoupling these equations. The moment I achieve diagonalization of K matrix, it is as if I am solving single degree of freedom system for two times. In this case, if it is n degree of freedom system, I will have to solve single degree of freedom equations n times. That n can be million, zillion, trillion, whatever it is that computer can do. You need not worry about it. Are you with me? So therefore, the entire focus now henceforth will be on decoupling these equations of motions. And वो हम कैसे करने वाले? There is a magic trick which involves solving eigenvalue problem. So have you heard of that? Eigenvalue problem सुना है कि नहीं? हाँ. But I am very sure मुझे भी कुछ नहीं समझा था. When I learned it through M1, M2, M3, it was useless. Just for scoring, I understood it. But now you will understand its physical significance. So we are going to solve eigenvalue problem. So before you come to the next lecture, we have come to the end of this lecture. So trailer for next lecture, we are going to use eigenvalue problem. So I want you to go through two things. One, given a matrix, square matrix, how do you find out eigenvalues? And how do you find out eigenvectors? Mathematically, I don't want you to come up with the physical interpretation. No, but you come up ready with the tools required for that. Physical interpretation, I am there to tell you. So therefore, in next class, when you come, you are going to come prepared with the strategies to solve eigenvalue problem. That means if I give you a square matrix, how do you find out its eigenvalues and eigenvectors? ये आपको पता होना चाहिए. And then we will take this problem forward. But to cut a long story short, what we are going to do is somehow by hook or crook, we are going to convert this into a decoupled set of equations. That means we are going to diagonalize this K matrix by some trick. That trick involves solving eigenvalue problem. So this is all for today. If you have a doubt, you can ask it now, or else you can put your attendance in chat box and you can leave the meeting. By the way, before you leave the meeting, are you with me? Are you on same page as I am on till now? Please type your response and then leave the class.